Hello and good morning, everybody. It's me, Julian, and welcome to another video in which I talk about how you can use writing and reading and thinking about the world as a way to find joy and meaning and purpose. As Oscar Wilde put it, you must find pleasure in the little things, for they are the last refuge of the complex. And today I would like to specifically talk about journals and journaling. I'd like to share with you some of my own experiences with various different modes of writing in journals. But I'd also like to talk more specifically about how journaling can be beneficial to you in your own life, and perhaps also suggest some journals that you might enjoy using yourself. I've tried out a great many of them over the course of my life. But I'd like to begin with a line from Kafka that I think summarizes pretty well the power and the importance of writing and journaling. He says, "Everyone has their own way of escaping the underworld. Mine is by writing." It's a beautiful way of characterizing writing as a way of escaping a certain alienation, a certain nagging discontent. It's a way of staging an encounter with the world and with oneself. Oscar Wilde joked that he never traveled anywhere without his diary, because at least that way he always had something entertaining to read. Against this, Kafka wrote that whenever he started rereading his diaries, he knew it was time to start a new one. And so I think we can say that diaries are a very helpful way of working through things, of taking time to reflect, of being present in the moment, but perhaps also they're a way of simply forcing oneself to think, to articulate something. As Oscar Wilde put it, if you cannot write well, you cannot think well. And if you cannot think well, then others will do the thinking for you. Which to say, I think that at the heart of it, journaling is a simple and somewhat minimalist act of self-emancipation. It is a way of taking back your attention, your focus, your time. It is a way of doing something strictly for yourself that both grounds you and makes you more engaged in the world. Now, on a very basic level, I also think that journaling can have a therapeutic effect, by which I mean you're not on your phone. It's a way of switching off, and yet paradoxically doing something quite active. Instead of being the passive receiver of information, you are actually constructing something yourself, especially if it's something that isn't meant to be read by anybody else. Goethe told his assistant, Johann Eckermann, that the most important thing was to write every day and not to get hung up on the idea that you had to create a masterpiece or a great work. In fact, that the desire to do something of note was actually a way to be paralyzed and to stifle original thought. As Goethe put it, you had to have what he called occasional poems, which to say you had to go out into the world and let yourself be surprised by what you see and encounter. And that's what is worth writing about. And I think a journal is actually a way of priming yourself. It's a way of saying, my mind, my sensibilities are available. I will go out into the world and I will see what happens. And then I will write it down, I will work it through. And sometimes you don't even have to go outside. I mean, you could be reading a book and there's a wonderful passage that you want to write down. For example, just yesterday I spent a very pleasurable hour writing down some passages from Edward Said's Music Criticism, in which he talked about the way in which attending a piano concert, like writing, is a way of staging an encounter with one's own imminent possibility, what he called the utopian aspect of pianistic performances. Now, that's an idea that might be more interesting to me than it is to you, hence why I wrote it down in my journal. So, to simplify somewhat, I'd like to give you a couple of recommendations when it comes to journaling based on my own experience. Excuse me. Number one, the whole point of journaling is that there's no pressure to write well. There's no pressure to publish or to transcribe or to turn it into something. Of course, it can be the beginning of something, but the pleasure of a journal is that it can take you in any direction. What you are writing is strictly for your eyes alone. And I think it's actually very important to be able to articulate something to yourself, to think out loud, as it were, or as Camus put it, to have a mind which watches itself without the expectation of sharing it with others. In this sense, a journal can be both a private record of your inner thoughts and musings. It can be writing about the things you see, overheard conversations, worries, anxieties, but also dreams and aspirations. There are things that you can articulate to yourself that you would never actually say out loud, that you can put in your journal. In fact, when I was young and I bought my first journal in college, I felt a little bit overwhelmed by the possibility of the journal, which is to say, I worried that I would reveal myself to excess, as Kafka put it. For indeed, that is what writing also does. It draws out from within us a reflection and a portrait of our own mind that we may be surprised to encounter, something which we may find so private that we wouldn't want it to be seen or read by others. This is what you might call the ethics, but also the pleasure of the diary, that it externalizes something which was deep down inside of you, which you may be surprised by yourself. But I briefly want to talk about how I journal, because I have different modes of writing that might be helpful to you. First of all, I really use two journals at any time. I have one that's like a physical bound journal, and then I keep a tear-off block. This is a Rhodia block that I use. You can just tear off the page. And I have two daily exercises. On this block, usually with a cup of coffee in the morning, I simply write, "What do I know?" And then I proceed to articulate the seemingly obvious. Where am I? What am I doing? What am I working on? How am I feeling today? What are the things that I'm worried about? What are the things that I'm trying to accomplish? What are the things I have to do? It's almost like a list that I make for myself to see myself. It's like looking in the mirror. It's a way of externalizing my own thought process. And I find it immensely helpful to do that. Hence also why it's a tear-away. There's no point keeping it. I just tear it away and let it go. And there's something very pleasant. I've gone through countless of these. It's an exercise that I do almost every single day that I find very satisfying. It's almost less like writing and more like drawing, as I sketch out the words, making them real for myself. It's something I usually do with a pencil and a sharpener. It's a distinct joy of having a very sharpened pencil and bringing the graphite to paper, at least for me. Now, when it comes to these hardbound notebooks, there tends to be a couple of different ways that I write. Sometimes I'm writing through an idea. It's a problem, a concept that I'm working on. For example, right now, I'm working on Hegel's concept of the Owl of Minerva. And so I encounter different ways of approaching the idea of the Owl of Minerva taking flight at dusk. I draw inspiration from films and galleries that I've been to, or just random encounters on the street. But sometimes it's also about taking the time to articulate to yourself an idea. I'll read Hegel and I'll take some notes, but then I'll also loop back around to him. The way in which Hegel's famous passage in the Philosophy of Right on the Owl of Minerva actually tacitly addresses the Kantian Prolegomena, in which he announces the possibility of a future metaphysics, jede künftige Metaphysik, which is where Hegel essentially picks up the idea of a future metaphysics. But these are things that aren't worked out or fleshed out that I like to write about here. They're a way of remembering them in my own mind. You'll be surprised when you write them down, you can actually remember them better. But it's also a way of finding a way of saying something that I didn't know how to articulate. You'll be surprised once again, once you start writing, how you can actually articulate things that you might not be able to otherwise. And this usually goes hand in hand with reading. I'll be reading something and I'll scribble something in the margins of the book, but then I really want to work it out on paper. But I also have diary entries. These are almost a little bit vulgar in their simplicity. It's how I'm feeling. It's whether, I don't know, I have a sore throat or my body's hurting or I'm a little bit annoyed with somebody. This is where I show myself at my most human, as it were, as my most flawed. It's something that I have to do for myself occasionally, working through private matters in a way that can be soothing and helpful on paper without actually having to carry it around with me. It's a way of trying to overcome a certain amount of repression that would otherwise occur. So those are some of the entries as well. And then finally, and this is perhaps my favorite way of using a journal, is I use it for little vignettes, what Proust would call his manuscribbles. Little observations, almost like anecdotes, things that I've seen outside. For example, I was at the Opera House yesterday, and an Asian tourist walked up to a finely dressed group of Englishmen and said, "Excuse me, but your opera house is a failure." It was such a funny situation, and the group was so surprised I had to write it down. It's a little story. It's a little encounter that I have in the world, something that made me laugh. And then occasionally I will indulge by going back to some of my journals and encountering these stories and realizing that I'd completely forgotten them. So it's a way of residing in the role of the observer, as it were, when you are in the world, which I think can actually be quite enjoyable. Baudelaire characterized this as the pleasure of feeling incognito, which is to say you are in the world, but you're also invisibly drifting and floating through it. Indeed, I would make the argument that to carry around a notebook with you is an aspect of leading a quote-unquote literary life, the life of a flaneur who walks through the city without necessarily intending to go anywhere, but simply allowing himself or herself or themselves to be surprised. And that, to my mind, is actually a way of life that I really find beneficial to myself. To say, I don't need to go outside to buy something right now. I will go outside to experience something and write it down. And even the act of carrying around a journal with you makes you more receptive to the world. In the same way that if you go out with a camera, it can make you more receptive to seeing things in a certain way. It's inherently empowering, I think, in the gentlest way possible. Now, I'd like to end this video by giving you some recommendations when it comes to what kind of a journal you might pick up, because journals aren't necessarily cheap, although I would say that even some of the more affordable journals can be just as good. It really depends on what your writing implement is and what kind of a journal you'd like to have. The first decision you have to make is whether or not you want to write in pencil or with a fountain pen or even a rollerball. Because if you're using a fountain pen, then you want different types of paper that can actually absorb the ink without bleeding through. For example, as much as I love moleskin notebooks, and I've used many of them, especially when they have beautifully illustrated covers, like the Little Prince ones that I find absolutely delightful, the drawback is that they don't really work as well for fountain pens. And so if you're writing in pencil, it's just fine, but the paper isn't quite absorbent enough for a more fluid ink. I personally think that one of the best notebooks when it comes to using a fountain pen are the Rhodia notebooks. I've used countless ones over the years. They're a little bit pricey, and there's a drawback, which is that they have like a vegan leather spine, which I've noticed erodes and crumbles as the years go by. Another really good notebook to use if you're using a fountain pen is by the Japanese company Midori. I think the Midori notebooks might have, to my mind, the most satisfying paper to write on. There's a certain softness to the finish that I find immensely satisfying, both for pencil and fountain pen. And currently I'm using these Stology notebooks with a Moomin design. It was a collab they did, because they have so many pages, so they're great for traveling. There's 365 pages in this, which is quite a lot considering that most notebooks in this format, the A5 format, have 192 pages, so that's almost twice as many pages. However, there is considerable bleed through that happens, even if you're writing with a roller ball. You can see the bleed through there. And this is what my writing looks like. I write in a very small script. In a sense, I'm writing for myself. So those are some of the notebooks that I would recommend. We have the Midori paper, the Rhodia paper. I think moleskin is fine if you're into collecting notebooks that look interesting. The Stology paper is very good as well. And there's, of course, a whole host of other notebooks. You can try the Leuchtturm notebooks, for example, that are quite good as well. And perhaps the pleasure of having a notebook is that you can have different ones at different times. For many years, I would keep small pocket-sized notebooks that I would just go through very quickly, just writing down random things while I was on the bus or the tube, barely legible script, just because I enjoyed having a notebook with me at all times. And I think it's actually very empowering, especially today when we're all glued to our phones all the time and we feel like we need to be reachable all the time, to have something in your hands that actually primes you to partake in the world and to pay attention and to want to write something down and to find a kind of pleasant interiority, if you will. It's a way of feeling involved in the world, but also, perhaps more importantly, feeling in touch and in tune with yourself. I personally couldn't imagine going even a single day without having a notebook. It's so immensely tied to who I am and how I've found a sense of well-being in the world. I will also say I have recently gotten into the hobby of stickers, a whole world that I hadn't known about until quite recently, until someone gifted me a traveler's notebook which is a wonderful Japanese style notebook that has a leather cover, and there's certain like stickers that come with it. And since then, I've been encountering more and more stickers that I enjoy putting in my notebooks. And there's also something quite enjoyable about being a fully grown adult and still taking delight in the creativity and abundance that comes with a sticker. Right now I have two little ones here. I have a little ghost, which is from a Midori set, and a little cat on some pillows. I'm sure I will fill it up with plenty more stickers as time goes by. Those are my thoughts on journaling and notebooks. I could go on. I mean, there's so much more to be said, but my basic point is that I would really like to encourage you to try picking up a notebook and to try journaling as a daily habit. And if you have done so already, I really hope that this video creates a sense of kinship between us, that we are people who enjoy notebooks and we see it as a writing technology. I think seeing the notebook as a techne, as a specific way of applying oneself to the world, is actually immensely important, and perhaps especially in these modern times, also a tacitly, if you will, a tacit act of resistance. Thank you so much. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I will see you next week. Although I think I'd like to record a lecture on the Owl of Minerva, a little introduction to Hegel. So I may actually post a couple of videos throughout the week as well, if you'll indulge me. Okay, thank you so much. If you'd like to support this channel, please consider becoming a patron. That's www.patreon.com/JulianPhilosophy. And until then, happy note-taking.